It's The World This Week, 7 days, 4 Paris-based correspondents, 1 hour. The World This Week in partnership with the Daily Beast. Let's say hello to Paris correspondent Erin Zaleski. How are you?
Oh, thanks.
A busy week it's been.
Indeed.
It's been a busy week as well for Aida Alami, reporter, contributor to the New York Times World Edition. Thank you for being with us again.
Thank you.
And thanks as well to Dov Alfon, editor-at-large for Israeli daily newspaper Haaretz, and from the Wall Street Journal, Inti Landauro.
Good evening.
How are you?
Great.
Okay, The World This Week, where you can join the conversation on Facebook and Twitter, the hashtag World This Week. On Tuesday night, some were saying Donald Trump had hit the reset button. His policies were the same, but his tone had softened in his first speech before a joint session of Congress. Even his staunchest critics were saying that it was the first time that he'd sounded presidential. That was Tuesday night. Then came Wednesday, the Washington Post revealing that twice Attorney General had one-on-one meetings during the campaign with the Russian ambassador. That contradicts what he'd told his Senate confirmation hearing under oath. He has resisted calls to resign, but will now recuse himself from any investigation into Moscow's alleged meddling in the campaign.
I have now decided to recuse myself from any existing or future investigations of any matter relating in any way to the campaigns for President of the United States. In retrospect, if I should have slowed down and said, but I did meet one Russian official a couple of times.
It's another incredible week of U.S. politics. Dov Alfon, let me ask you, because in the old days it was simple, right?
Yeah.
There were the Russians versus the Americans,
Right,
or the Soviets, if you will.
Yeah, and we had the Department of Justice generally agreed to inquire and check really matters that are on the agenda. And suddenly you have this vision of the guy saying, I won't interfere, like it's not his job to do it. And why? Because you forgot to say and to reveal that you met indeed a Russian official. It's very strange, but also captivating.
It's captivating, and one of the questions we're still asking is, what did he say to the Russian ambassador? Because he hasn't really said so far.
Exactly. That's what all people speculate about, what the influence of Russia on the Trump administration.
We don't like conspiracy theories on this show, but Aida, I mean, what are your thoughts when you see what's going on? First, it was Paul Manafort on the campaign trail. Then it was his national security advisor who had to resign, Michael Flynn. And again, there's no proof that the Attorney General did anything wrong, but except lying perhaps to
Well,
the
that's
Senate.
the thing. We don't know if it's incompetence or were they exchanging greetings, or no one really knows. And I think it's important to have an investigation to finally know, I mean, to get to the bottom of this, because so far we've been reading a lot of great reports in the press, in the Washington Post, the New York Times, with a lot of anonymous sources, but no one knows what's really going on.
Erin Zaleski.
I feel like I'm watching a TV mini-series every week with this administration. It's like, what's going to happen this week? It's sort of leaving everyone in suspense. And just when you think that nothing else another scandal can't break, it has.
But is that a danger? Because this shouldn't be entertainment. This is serious stuff.
It absolutely is serious stuff. And what's concerning to me about this, we don't know what the conversations were, absolutely. But I don't know, I always feel that those who have nothing to hide nothing. And the fact that during his confirmation meeting, he completely, if it was an innocent meeting, why didn't he mention it during the confirmation hearing? And yeah, I agree that an investigation absolutely needs to be launched. And the fact that these meetings took place during September, just last fall, and that was kind of at the height of the alleged Russian tampering in the U.S. election. So I just feel like there's too many coincidences, and there absolutely needs to be an investigation into this.
All right, the FBI is investigating, but it's not commenting on the scale of its investigation and who it might be targeting. The steady drip may well continue. The New York Times quotes unnamed sources as saying senior officials left, I guess you could call them breadcrumbs of evidence across several agencies before Barack Obama left office. As Inauguration Day approached, Obama White House officials grew convinced that the intelligence was damning and that they needed to ensure that as many people as possible inside the government could see it, even if people without security clearances could not. And again, as you were saying, Ida, these are unnamed sources saying this, but it's clear that there's more to come.
Oh, of course, there's all these leaks, but again, I mean, the war in Iraq was not that long ago, and I don't know how reliable these leaks are. They can be, they cannot be. It's hard to know. I think it's time for the U.S. to really come clear with all of these issues that are going on. I think during the transition period, it's not uncommon for government official to meet with diplomats from other countries. It's just strange that Russia is the first one that comes on the list, especially after the DNC hacking and all of these problems that have been, people have been talking about.
And also, given the shift, the U.S. President Donald Trump is imposing on the attitude towards Russia from the government, the U.S. government.
The shift that we've
Russia.
seen in the last weeks or so.
Well, from the beginning, even during the campaign, he was announcing a shift of policy, of U.S. policy towards Russia.
And it's left people perplexed. Alphon, we seem to have this sort of power play going on, and it's going on between the White House, obviously the Democrats, but that's normal, right? The minority party, but civil servants within his own administration.
Well, let's not forget that this president immediately enraged, really angered a lot the CIA, the Free Press, and then suddenly these two bodies that were always at arms one against another, they both hate this president. And so you can see leaks in the press coming obviously from secret services. And this is a very dangerous coalition for a president.
In Israel, we have several high-profile cases where the judiciary is locking horns with the politicians.
Yes.
What's the view there in terms of?
In my country, this affair really sounds so local. Oh yes, so of course he's claiming everything is all right, and there are anonymous leaks, and you can't really be sure. This is so known, and I think that an independent inquiry is really getting more and more urgent. Because the USA is not a small country in the Middle East. It is indeed still the champion of the free world, and this is getting really serious.
One story, the Wall Street Journal reporting that Donald Trump Jr. came to Paris on October the 11th, went to the Ritz, gives a speech, a paid speech, at least $50,000.
But that's the real news, because we already reported that he participated to that event. But the real news is that he apparently charged $50,000.
But for people who haven't followed the story, it's a French think tank whose organizers have ties to Russia and to Syria.
To the Syrian government.
Yeah, to the Syrian government. And so the question is, what could it be? Just money?
I think the president and his administration have an obligation to answer about that. What does that mean?
Because what is the motive for Donald Trump Jr. to come on October the 11th?
Well,
I mean, this is what? This is less than a month from Election Day.
Yes, exactly. And what we can see is that the President Trump has said, and like the shift in policy in Syria is to trying to get support from Russia or support the Bashar al-Assad government. That is somehow the new policy Donald Trump wants to take towards Syria. And it is what we want to understand, what the people want to understand is what will be the cost of that for the United States.
I mean, yeah, like I was saying, there's too many coincidences. There's that visit as well, and then there's the departure of Flynn earlier. It just sort of compounds the question of what is really going on, and there needs to be more transparency, and hopefully that will come out in the coming weeks.
Sure.
The line of defense used is that, again, it's a vendetta, that the White House saying that this is sour grapes on the part of those who lost the election. And we've seen the attacks on the media, on the judiciary. Donald Trump, by the way, not alone in dismissing inquiries as political witch hunt. Here's how the once frontrunner in France's presidential election reacted to news he'll be summoned March 15th by investigating magistrates over whether or not his wife Penelope and two of their children did any actual work while on François Fillon's parliamentary payroll.
Ces 4 millions My 4 million voters are saying it is a political murder. It is indeed a murder. But by this unprecedented and disproportionate attack and its timing, not only have I been cast aside, but the presidential race has been butchered. The conservative and centrist voters have been impeded, and it's the voice of millions of French citizens seeking change that has been muzzled.
Adelami, the latest on this is a tweet which included a video message from Fillon calling on his supporters not to let anybody steal this choice from you. I ask you to resist. It's a call to attend a rally here in Paris on Sunday, a rally that has many inside his own camp feeling a little uneasy because it sort of has the airs as an anti-magistrates rally.
Of course, a lot of people from his campaign have been resigning. A lot of people are pulling away from him. I think in any democracy in the world, he would have, pulled out of the race. And I think it's the Trump effect at this point where people think they can get away with anything and just continue.
And how thick-skinned do you think France's institutions are? If a candidate for president bashes the judiciary, bashes the media, is it just, people write it off as just a campaign rhetoric?
Right, he's undermining all of these.
You think it is undermining?
Absolutely, because, it's a country that has different branches that are supposed to operate independently and work well, and to see a connection between politics and how the judiciary is functioning is really problematic.
Inti Andaro, your thoughts?
Well, I think the French Republicans won't appreciate what I could say, but I think there is a Trumpian rhetoric in that, like attacking the institution that is investigating you. What is François Fillon doing is it's a Trumpian move, as you could qualify.
But it doesn't seem to be working. It seems to work for Trump, but not for François Fillon.
I'm not sure it will work for Trump forever, and for François Fillon, I don't think it's working. But then again, you could say that indeed the judiciary in France is separate from the government, from politics. But still, in France, it's not that clear. The government still appoints the majority of judges. So there had been in the past. I'm not saying that there is any meddling from the government in the Fillon case, but there's been in the past in other administrations. If you believe what François Hollande said in the book of Un président ne devrait pas dire ça, he claims that there's absolutely no interference by the French government in the judiciary now, under his administration.
Right. The relationship between the executive branch of government and the judiciary has been a subject before there was a François Fillon in this country.
Of course, and this is why I really believe that when he claims this is a political assassination, he really means this is my political suicide. Because the French people are not going to eat this anymore. It sounds apocalyptic, it sounds hysterical. And I think it refers on it very badly. And this is the reason why he's really in a very bad situation. And suddenly we're talking again about other right candidates. Alain Juppé back from the dead and claiming that maybe he could be.
He beats Alain Juppé by a 2/3 to 1/3 margin in the runoff of the center-right primaries.
Yes.
And the former mayor of Bordeaux at age 70 looked like that was it. That was the end.
This was supposed to be the end. And suddenly the right voters are saying, wait a minute, this guy has a lot of skeletons in the closet, and maybe we should really get back again the old man from Bordeaux.
But the old man from Bordeaux, can people vote for him if he's lost that badly in the primaries?
It's a question. First of all, let me gloss. It's really an interesting, a captivating election. Now, I was really jealous of the Haaretz correspondent in Washington, D.C. He had this close election with Donald Trump and Melania, and suddenly, and France was supposed to be a boring election with Juppé against Hollande. Suddenly, I get 10 phone calls a day from the newspaper, get us more stuff.
Are you getting 10 phone calls a day, Inti?
We are getting a lot of calls. Yes. We're going like very big on these elections. But something I wanted to say is that the difference between François Fillon and Trump is that both are playing the people against the judges, the magistrates, the institutions. But the difference is that François Fillon doesn't have to be the backing, to get the backing of the people. I'm not sure how many people will go to his demonstration this weekend, but I wouldn't expect it to be that massive as he really needs.
Yeah.
Aidalami, your thoughts on what happens next? Because right now, he still has the purse strings to the party.
Right. I mean, I wouldn't want to be part of that party right now. They're facing, I think, a huge crisis, and I'm not sure how they can get out of it. I think the best thing they could do is remove him and have someone else run instead. Because, I mean, how difficult is it to prove that she worked for him? I mean, if you had to prove tomorrow that you work, I think you would have emails, paychecks, you know. I mean, paychecks she has, but you know what I'm saying.
You'd have more, there'd be more of a paper trail on that.
Exactly.
We're going to pick up on that when we come back. Stay with us. You're watching The World This Week.